Scoppetta. I live in East Hampton and I've been here full-time about 20 years.
I'm Crandel. I'm born and raised in Amagansett, and I've been here over 50 years.
So my name's Dante Sasso. I live in Amagansett, New York, right here, and I've been in Amagansett my whole life, and I'm 17 years old, almost 18.
We're here at Sport Time Amagansett. Specifically, we're here at the arena in Amagansett, a part of the Sport Time facility that is over 23 acres. We have tennis courts, we have this beautiful indoor facility.
I've been a camper here for 3 years, and after those 3 years, I became a counselor at Sport Time Summer Camp for 3 years.
Yeah, that was quite a scary time for us. It's our livelihood, the camp. That's our full-time job. We employ a lot of people rely on us.
We actually didn't know if we were going to even have summer camp until about a week before. In July, our first day started, and Eric and Mark called us and they said, East Hampton Sport Camp is back on. We're going to be following these precautions, which involve masks anytime we're indoors, and we had to help the kids with serving food and preventing the spread of the infection.
I think as summer camps, we were the first ones to really put a lot of these practices into action, almost as a prelude to what the schools had to do come September. And we had everything from sanitation protocols to distancing, to masks, signage. We really took a huge team effort, and luckily our Sport Time company has 13 clubs around the New York area, so we were able to think tank on Zoom to work with our colleagues across New York to really prepare. And then putting it into action was very scary. Usually our kids and our parents would walk in, especially with our preschool. They would come in, help their kids put their backpack in a cubby. So it also took a lot from the parents to have trust in us to say bye to their kids at the doorway. You know, already those kids had been out of school for so long that they really needed the social contact with their peers. And we were able to provide that space safely, and luckily we had no COVID cases over the course of that summer.
We were spot on in the beginning by realizing if we're outside, we're safe. So we wore masks outside as well. If it rained, we had a texting chain with the families and asked people if they could to keep their children home. We really got back to the basics of camp, kind of when we started 30 years ago, and we just had a dirt field and some balls. And that's all the kids really needed at that time. They just wanted to be with each other and to socialize.
It really sort of changed the experience of camp, and we became a lot more close-knit. And even though there weren't as many kids or as many options, we still had plenty of fun and got to create some really inspiring close relationships.
The first summer of the pandemic, the parents were the most cooperative and understanding I've ever seen in our 30 years. They were incredibly thankful that we were doing this. They were taking a chance, a risk with us. And they understood if we had to eliminate things like lunch. We asked them to bring their own lunch. There was no more buffet. That they had to keep their children home on rainy days. The cooperation lasted that summer and the fall. But I have to say, the last summer, some people were annoyed. I think we're tired of the COVID restrictions and the lockdowns. While we didn't have any cases of COVID the very first summer, we did have 2 isolated cases 2021. So it did require us to quarantine a whole group of 7-year-olds. So maybe 90% of the families were very understanding, but we did have some frustrated and angry parents that we had to deal with. Financially, obviously, the first summer we took a hit like everybody did. I think what saved us here in Amagansett is we eliminated some big costs. busing, lunches. A lot of the families stayed here, did not return to the city in the fall. So we were able to offer fall programming. So little by little, we kind of clawed our way back financially. And this past summer was a very good summer for us.
And also the core business of Sport Time is tennis. We have 34 tennis courts here in Amagansett, and tennis was deemed one of those safe sports very early. So people who maybe hadn't played the sport in a while, we had a full roster of adults that some would drop their kids at summer camp and go play some clinics or take lessons, but tennis has really kind of come back.
Just talking with so many kids about not being able to go to school when it was shut off, hearing how their relationships had suffered, and especially talking to this one kid, Ryan, who we formed a really great relationship, and we taught each other a lot about science. We would talk a lot about, and it was just so cool that us counselors were able to kind of fill the void of school a little bit, and forming those relationships was really special. And those were relationships we wouldn't have been able to form without COVID, so it did have some benefits.
One counselor was very open, and at the end of the summer came to me and told me that he was very depressed during the initial lockdown. And at camp, it was the first time he was happy and the first time he laughed in 6 months. So that stuck with me. Community, that may sound hokey, but really it kind of forced all of us to kind of be more in touch with everyone in the community. We really saw the community come together, whether it was staff or camp families or people, vendors who came onto the property. I think everybody had a sole focus, and it was the children and camp, and making camp safe and fun for them.
I would say change. I mean, studies have said that COVID caused so much change in the world that was going to happen anyway, but it just accelerated all the change that was going to happen. And that's where I think the key idea of COVID was. It was just a big change in the way everything was done, and we see now with vaccines and masks, it's changed our daily lives in a lot of ways, and it's just had such a large impact on everything that's going to happen for the next many years that's the word I think comes to mind.
I would say my word is teamwork. As Eric mentioned, we wouldn't have been able to accomplish what we did during the last 2 years without the amazing team that we work with, the young counselors. Our formula is amazing young people watching younger people, and the risks that they took and the commitment that they made built on that community that we have here in camp. But the teamwork is really what it takes to battle this epidemic. We have to erase all these dotted lines between us and realize that we really are all in this together, and the only way to fight it is with a bit of teamwork and a bit of community. If you're going to do it locally, then you can maybe do it globally, but this is a really special community that looks after each other, whether it's if you get injured, your house is on fire, you need food, there's food banks which fed so many people. Everybody is volunteer and helps each other out, and that's what makes a community, and that's what teamwork is all about.